Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Lahumul bushara fil hayatid dunya wa fil akhirah. Those who are righteous receive glad tidings in this very world by means of true dreams. This is the translation given by the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam and Malfuzat of this verse from the Holy Quran, which I already covered in my dars 2 days ago on the subject of how to receive true dreams, visions, and revelation. There is one more aspect to this topic which I would like to discuss, which I didn't cover in my last dars, and I would like to cover that today. You know, the thing which the promised Messiah he mentions is that it becomes a criteria of a believer that they should have the grace of revelation, dreams, and visions. So one might ask that why am I delivering a khutbah or a small dars on such a heavy subject of revelation, dreams, and visions? The reason is that we pass through the month of Ramadan, and we passed through that month of Ramadan with the hopes that we would change ourselves and that we would have communication with God. And I pray and I hope that every Ahmadi would have realized that um, the aim of their 5 daily prayers is that they can communicate with God, or that they can get the sweetness of their prayers, and that Allah will, in one form or the other, through dreams or revelation, that Allah will reveal Himself and show Himself to them. And so that is why I'm discussing this, because otherwise the exercise of offering prayers to try to our best to perform the prayers in the best way and to be punctual with them, they really will be of no benefit to us if we don't have a desire to have a communication with God. That is, to have a real relationship with God. If we are just doing it to satisfy our parents, or doing it to to show that I've done this, I've done that to other people, to fulfill my society's criterion that yes, I'm a Muslim, I do my 5 daily prayers, then this really is way off the mark, and this is something that is dangerous. We shouldn't be doing this. We should be offering our prayers in sincerity, and we should try be searching for the real blessing, the real true sweetness of the prayer, the real purpose of the prayer. Why am I doing this? So, as I mentioned in my last dars, the way in which we can achieve that is that we should pray to Allah, and then we should change our actions. We should have righteous actions, and then we should follow the will of God. The promised Messiah, والسلام, he explained another aspect of the revelation, or the forms in which Allah communicates to His servants, so that they can come to a believer, but they may come to a believer who is in a very elementary stage of his faith, and it may be that initial revelation will be like a trial. And he says that in the philosophy of the teaching of Islam, that it can either inspire a person to reform, or it may make a person arrogant. So in the philosophy and teaching of Islam, he mentioned that, and I read that quotation, he says that what then is revelation? It is the living and powerful converse of the holy and mighty God. That is the speaking, God speaking, the holy and mighty God speaking with a chosen servant of His, or with one whom he designs to make his elect. When this converse starts in an adequate and satisfactory manner, being altogether free from the darkness of false concepts, and is not composed merely of a few inadequate and meaningless words, and is full of delight and wisdom and grandeur, then it surely is the word of God with which he designs to comfort his servant and to manifest himself to him. So this, at this point, the promised Messiah is, he's just explaining what true revelation is. This is of the higher state with his chosen elect, and when he comes and he gives reassurance to his beloved followers in very clear signs without any doubts. And these come at a time when believers have gone through, as I spoke before, through trials, and they have been, invested their faith in God because they have witnessed before other signs of God, and then God again, he shows himself. But then the promised Messiah says there's another kind of revelation. This is of an elementary level, and this is the second part of what he's explaining. And he says that sometimes revelation is vouchsafed, or that is given to a person by way of trial. So it is this initial revelation is given as a trial, and it is not equipped with full blessings. So it's not of that high standard. In such a case, the recipient is put on his trial at this elementary stage, so that having tasted somewhat of revelation, he should order his life along the lines of those who are true recipients of revelation, in default of which he would encounter frustration. So he said that here he is saying that the purpose of this, Allah, sending like a sprinkling of revelation on who formed or who has changed their life, the real shower, or they want to, change their life and really do that, or they don't want it and they're going to turn their back to it. And he says here, in default of which they would encounter frustration. So that means that if they deny this, then they will have frustration. And then he goes on to say, if he does not adopt the ways of the truly righteous, he is deprived of the fullness of this bounty and is left only with vain boasting. So the promised Messiah, alayhi salatu wasalam, has said that if we break this down, and this is a very important point, which the promised Messiah has guided us to understand, how we can either, go well ahead and follow the guidance of Allah, or we can go off track. And this is by way of how Allah reveals himself to the people who are on a very elementary level of belief. And he says that it comes and it inspires them, or it could inspire them if they really want to, and that's what Allah wants. And he wants them so that they will choose to follow the righteous lives of the saints and prophets and those who have gone before. And that's what we always pray. In five times a day, we always pray that about this specifically, the blessings of those, and to be on the path of them. And this is this, and if Allah does reveal to us or shows us, this is what Allah wants us to then want more, to crave more. But if we don't, he says that it can be a means of making someone arrogant and show off that, I received this revelation, or I saw this true dream, and they don't in fact change their life, but they just feel it's like a show off, and they become arrogant. And in this way, it really becomes a trial, because they don't try to struggle to really adopt. And then the promised Messiah also gave us an indication too, that that when when they reject, when they become arrogant and they reject actually what the purpose behind this is, then Allah doesn't show them more. And that's why the promised Messiah said they would become frustrated. And this is a very important point, because on the spiritual path, there are many people who they get frustrated throughout their life, or times in their life, or they think that we can easily get the blessings from God when we pray, and then because we've been told this story and that thing, and we heard this instance, and we just think, okay, we should just pray hardly, and Allah is gonna do for us. He's gonna transform our lives, and He's gonna do what we want. But the thing is, if we think that we're not ourselves gonna do anything, if we ourselves don't do anything, and we think that just Allah should do because we prayed, then we become arrogant, and then we'll get frustrated, because the fact of the matter is that Allah wants us to change our life, actually wants us to start to move in the direction towards Him, to receive the more deeper blessings. Like I said, the sprinkle of rain comes, but but Allah wants us to have the shower. He wants us to have the real, mohal, the real, like being engulfed with all the blessings from Allah, like the prophets and like the saints, those who have received revelation, and have received true dreams, and they have been given reassurance from God. Throughout their life, they have struggled, and Allah always shows them reassurance at time and time of their life. And so this is what I wanted to mention here, that this is a very important point in this today's dars, that we shouldn't get arrogant if we had any true dream, and it came to pass, and something happened, and if we saw a dream in the past, and we should be arrogant that okay, that's fine. No, uh, we should be worried that we only had one or so dream or something happening. We should be feeling that Allah is with us, and that when we decide to take any measure to do anything, to work for Allah's sake, or to do some good sake in this world, that we shouldn't be afraid, because we feel that Allah is with us, and Allah is always showing us that He supports us. So for that, we have the blessing of Islam. For that, we have the reassurance and the promise, as Allah gave the promised Messiah alayhi salam coming, and giving us this guideline. So may Allah, we should all pray that may Allah help us to follow the lines of the chosen servant which He sent in this day and age, and all those His khulafa, and all those Sahaba, and those saintly people who followed after the promised Messiah, who are even today, who are witness and sign in our daily life. We should wake up and see that this movement is coming about because of solely because of this relationship with Allah. May we be able to partake of this blessing from Allah, and may Allah give us the strength, and more strength, and strength by strength, so that we can have really firm commitment with Allah, and really firm relationship with Allah. Ameen. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum.